Good morning. Welcome back to the channel. For those of you that don't know me, my name is Aaron, and today I am gonna do something a little bit different. I was going through my morning routine as per usual, some reading, some journaling, some reflecting while sipping my coffee before work. And I kind of wanted to just share some of my thoughts with you guys because that's what I like to do. But basically, I was thinking about it because I've been reading this book. It's called The Courage to be Disliked. Okay. And it talks about how basically like we as humans, we naturally tend to put a lot of reliance on how we feel about ourselves on other people. And if you don't know what I mean by that, I can try and explain it to you. So we essentially feel that the judgment of other people and how other people treat us and how we feel about a lot of things is tied into how we're treated by other people and other people's opinions of us and things of that nature. And instead of just kind of taking full accountability for everything that happens. And there's a part in the book where he talks about happiness and how being happiness is our responsibility. And it's a philosopher and a man just kind of conversing back and forth. And you know, the man is kind of like confused a little bit because he's like, wait, how could such a big responsibility be my responsibility? And he's like, pretty much like, well, you're you, and you have to take accountability and responsibility over your life. And they kind of talk about like what it really means to be happy and like what happiness entails, and how a lot of it can be defined in a very simplistic way. And we just tend to overcomplicate it, which is very true. And you kind of think back in history, and you think from then till now, right? Pick any time frame before this, that's, I would say, considered modern history. And you start to realize that, you know, years ago, the dream and the happiness was just, I just want to have a family, a house, and that's pretty much it, right? Being happiness was a lot simpler. And I feel like the definition of happiness has kind of gotten skewed. And, you know, everybody's entitled to their own opinion, but I feel like there has to be a correlation between how we feel about certain things and the outcome. Because if we have over time changed and required more conditions to be happy as time has gone on, then I feel like we have to be doing something wrong, right? So I kind of thought about it, and I wanted to tell you guys a little bit of a story about myself. Because when I was about 22, I probably went through like the worst period of depression in my life. And I don't like to necessarily call it depression, but when I look back on it, I realize that's pretty much what it was. Basically, when I was like 19, I had gotten diagnosed with some pretty serious hip and back injuries. And my doctor at the time pretty much said like, hey, you'll never be able to work out hard again. And this was right after, you know, finally like getting in shape after being like basically heavy my entire life. Because I was a fat kid. And finally getting in shape, like feeling like an athlete, like I was playing basketball, I was running, I was lifting, I was swimming, I was still in the Marine Corps, like I felt great. And he was like, hey, just so you know, like these injuries could stop you from, you know, basically doing any of those things ever again, because your hip bones are basically touching each other and your back has discs that are degenerated, and within the next few years, if this continues, like you're gonna basically become immobilized. So I was like, nah, I'm not gonna let that, you know, stop me. And over time, my injuries did get worse, indeed. And there was a point where like getting out of bed was really hard, physically, not mentally, but they tie in. Where physically getting out of bed was a challenge. After any workout, I would be radiating in pain, like in my hip and my back, and everything would just kind of hurt. And I was always in a feeling of discomfort or pain. So eventually I was like, maybe I'll just take some time off. And that time off turned into more time off because I started feeling like, okay, well, not working out is the only way that I could feel okay. So I just have to keep it to a minimum. And, you know, over time, like that kind of got to me. And I also had gotten let go from my job at the time because, yes, I was in the military, but I wasn't active duty. So I still had to maintain a job and like try to go to school and stuff. School wasn't really for me, but got let go of my job, and I basically had no job, wasn't able to work out, and I kind of just, sat around. And there came a point when I was like, you know what, like maybe I'll just take some time to like think about my life. And that time turned into a lot longer of a time. And to sum up the story, I realized like the reason why I was depressed, reflecting back, and kind of in the moment as well, was I just felt useless. Like I felt like I was useful to nobody. I felt like I wasn't good for anything. I felt like I couldn't do anything. So it was kind of like, why even be alive? And that was a really hard time for me because, at the time, like I had a girlfriend that I was dating, and like my family is kind of like putting a lot of pressure to like, they want to see you do something. Like no mom or siblings want to see you like just sitting around doing nothing with your life, especially, being like 21, 22 years old. Like you should have all the energy and all the fire in the world to go and conquer. But it was rough, and it's something that I kind of had to just deal with. And from one day to the next, I remember looking at myself in the mirror and I was like, why can't I just be better? Or why can't I just be happy? And reading this book kind of made me remember like, oh yeah, like I literally made the decision from one day to the next, like I will be happy today. And the only thing that changed were my conditions. Because at the time, my condition was essentially, if I'm useless, then I'm not good for anything. I have no right to be happy. If I'm not making money, I have no right to be happy. If I'm not able to just like, if I'm not good at Call of Duty or something, like, I can't be happy. Or if I can't just watch YouTube, I can't be happy. And I thought that happiness was gonna come from all the little things, like, being able to like, oh, maybe if I gamed for just a little bit longer, I'll be happy. Or maybe if I just watch more YouTube, I'll be happy. And I realized that the second I decided that I wanted to be happy, my mentality shifted, and the only thing that changed was the fact that I was willing to like pursue what it was that I wanted. And even though I wasn't there, it made it a lot easier to be happy because I felt like I was working towards something. So the definition of happiness is essentially just defined by usefulness. And I feel like nowadays a lot of people feel like, especially like, our generation and the newer generations, that we all want to be the most impactful and do the most, and we want to be on social media and like, have the nicest car and have the coolest story and the nicest life. But it's like none of that is necessary for you to be happy, right? It's not really the thing that makes you happy, because people say all the time like, oh, celebrities are unhappy and they have everything. You have to kind of think about that and put it into perspective and realize like, yeah, because it's not the thing that makes you happy. It's the feeling of like being useful that makes you happy. Because if you do everything and you have money and you just sit around and do nothing, you're gonna feel useless. So essentially, to sum this all up, like the feeling of happiness should just come from effort and trying. Like if you're trying to do something that you wanna do, then that's more than enough of a condition to wanna be happy. Because I find that a lot of people that are depressed they're not really doing anything, but then they're also not willing to do anything. It's like people will say like, oh, like I want to be like a famous musician. It's like, okay, like how many times have you like recorded a song this month? Or have you, tried putting yourself on social media? It's like, if you're not doing anything to actively pursue the life that you want, of course you're not going to be happy. Of course you're going to want to sit around and be sad and be like, damn, life sucks. But that is totally on you. It is on nobody else to make you happy. You have to do what you want to do in order to be happy. And you have to do what it takes to be happy. And people need to realize that most of the time, removing the things that you believe are making you happy are actually going to make you happy. Like, I grew up, I've been playing video games since I was like 5. And I stopped playing video games more so because I wanted to take myself more seriously, and I wanted to start focusing on like the things that were important to me. And I don't even miss it. Like going out to eat, it was like, okay, well, I love going out to eat. I love food. It's like, but if I stopped going out to eat and I cooked and I was able to save money and like, you know, be able to maintain a better physique and more performance in my fitness, would that make me happy? And now I barely ever eat out. You start to realize as you remove things from your life that you won't actually miss them because they weren't actually serving you. So all these things that we're like addicted to and that we think that we need just to get some dopamine are actually like killing us on the inside. Like sitting there scrolling on TikTok, like, dude, I deleted TikTok and I don't even think about it anymore. You know, it's about sacrificing for what you want, and that feeling of knowing that you're trying to do something better or do something more is a way more rewarding feeling than anything else. Like, yes, if you are out of shape and you want to get in shape, it's gonna physically be hard for you to get in shape. Like, you're gonna hurt. You're gonna go through pain. You're gonna be tired. You're gonna breathe heavy. But I promise you, that pain of, you know, the temporary soreness and the temporary heavy breathing and the temporary feeling like you're gonna die will make you feel a lot more alive than if you were walking around at 400 pounds uncomfortable and hating your body every single day. You have to understand that what you think is good for you at times is not good for you. You know, eating all that food and sitting around and feeling heavy. And I can relate to this because I used to look at myself in the mirror and I hated the way I looked. And that feeling of knowing that I hated myself was significantly more painful than the feeling of, oh my God, like I just ran as hard as I could. I feel like I'm gonna die. Because now that all time is gonna pass by you regardless of whether you do it or not. But now looking back and knowing that I did it makes me feel a lot better, because there's people that around the same time were watching me go and are in the exact same place and they're still sad. I just sacrificed 2 years of discomfort or 3 years of discomfort or however long it takes to be happy for the rest of my life, versus trying to be happy in every moment and then actually being unhappy over a long period of time. But that is my TED Talk for the day. I hope that, you know, even if one person sees this and they relate and they understand, like, okay, I'm going to make the decision to be happy today. Like, you know, I support you. I'm here for you. And I'm happy that you were willing to make that change. You know, I genuinely hope that one person can see this and really just open their eyes and realize that happiness is a lot closer to you than you think. You just have to be willing to go get it. So, love you guys. Have a great day, night, wherever this finds you. And like and subscribe if you found this beneficial to you. And I will see you next time. Peace.